Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, this video is entitled Celebrity Wives with Cheating Husbands. And I know some of you out there can just point out a few people, or you can name a few, or maybe more than a few celebrities or celebrity wives who recently have had some cheating scandals to happen in their marriages. And number one is Wendy Williams. And I didn't really talk too much about her. I don't really watch her show. I've watched it a couple of times. And honestly, I used to think that Wendy Williams wasn't a woman a long time back. I kind of kept looking at her because, she's really tall and with the hair weave. And I'm not saying this is a joke to make fun of her or anything like that. She just seemed really odd looking to me. She was kind of top heavy and, you know, just seemed like it was almost like looking at, those guys that you see that dress up like women. They're real tall. It's a man, but it's really, like a maybe how would you put it? Somebody that's in drag. And I used to think that Wendy Williams was like a transgender person at first, until I realized, no, this is just a tall black woman. She really is a she. And so, I kept looking under her neck to see if she had an Adam's apple. And so, I'm not saying this to say anything negative about her. And then I saw some old videos of her from back when she was younger. And I think she's from like New York. And then it dawned on me that she had probably over the years had a number of surgeries. And so that's why she looked like she does. And the older interviews or the older video clips of her from when she was younger, when she started out, she looked more like a real woman, and I'm not saying that she isn't a real woman. What I'm saying is, when you go under the knife and you have all those surgeries, it kind of transforms you and you're trying to make things stay youthful and you're trying to enhance your appearance. But a lot of times it causes problems for you also. It can ruin your appearance of how you really supposed to look. And so I know, like, when people tend to come into a lot of money, they're like real popular. If they're a model or if they're on TV, they worry about their appearance, and women worry about their appearance just in general. Most women do. And so when you become famous, you worry about how you look. So you probably want to alter this and alter that. Get butt lifts, breast lift, breast augmentation, and facelifts, and teeth done, and a number of famous people have done all of that. But you notice you don't really hear about males doing too much to their bodies, except maybe going to the gym to lose weight. Maybe they'll try to buff up, but you don't really hear a lot about them getting a lot of surgery done on their bodies to enhance their look. Not necessarily. It might have been a few guys, um, but I don't really see very many. It seems like that's sort of the woman's thing. But this is really sad. It's a sort of, embarrassing. I think, to be you got a talk show and you're real popular, and it seems like you have a following and a fan base. And here, the people you talk about on your show, you talk about how other people's relationships are not working out, and you give advice on relationships and what people should and should not do in terms of, getting involved with people in coupling situations. And here you have in your own backyard your own problem where your own husband, he's cheating on you. And there's I mean to tell you, there's video upon video, article upon article about Wendy Williams' husband, and it's embarrassing. It's totally embarrassing. And I know that this woman, she's taken a lot having to deal with this type of situation here because I was shocked, when I saw that the man, he had a girlfriend, and then the girlfriend has a house. He bought her, I don't know if it's a big condo or a house or something. From what I heard, it was a house. And then I recently heard that this other lady is pregnant, and that at first she was pregnant and then she didn't have it, and now she's pregnant again. And it looks like she's going to keep this baby. And it's assumed that this is Kevin Hunter's baby. And Kevin Hunter is Wendy Williams' husband that's pictured here. And so it's just really embarrassing and sad. And I think too, a lot of times these celebrities, they work hard to try to clean up some of the internet from some of the articles talking about their life problems and their scandals. They pay lawyers and they try to scare people not to say what's going on or what they know or what they think their advice. And so she recently had said some stuff about, like some, music artists and all their scandals and some of the things that's happening in their relationship. She talked about Cardi B, and we knew Cardi B had recently had an incident where Offset was cheating on her, and I believe they're trying to work out their marriage. She had threatened for divorce. That's another person that's a high profile figure where she's a wife of a proposed cheating husband. And so some people already know the whole story behind that. I say this, I really, really do believe that once a person has this cheating ways, that more than likely they're going to do it again and again and again. And if you keep letting them in and you letting them back, then they feel like they're unable to do it. And what makes this a complicated situation, I've heard other people voice their opinion about Wendy Williams' circumstance, is that most of the show and most of her like financial assets, I think he owns a lot. He has a lot invested in Wendy Williams. So that's why it's not easy for her to break away from this relationship, even though everybody knows her husband has another wife, or well, common law, I would say, or another lady, and the lady is pregnant, and he bought this other lady a house and a car and all this stuff, supposedly. And what what's also sad is that he has a son with Wendy Williams, and the son, even though the son is like, I think he's like a young adult and in college. I mean, I'm sure he's seeing all of this. You know, what do you do like when you're a young adult and your mother's a celebrity and everybody knows that your father is cheating on your mother with a younger woman, and the woman is pregnant and it's all over the internet? I mean, like, what are you supposed to do in that? That's what I mean. That's just really sad. And so this article is here talking about Wendy Williams' situation, and this was a day ago that this article came out. So there are real articles now. Hot New Hip Hop, Euroweb.com, Radar Online. There's a lot of articles, a lot of things that are coming out about Wendy Williams. Also, bloggers, have gotten their hands on some stuff. There's some videos talking about Wendy Williams, and I guess this one too. So Wendy Williams takes another week off show amid husband's cheating scandal. I'll just read some of the headlines. Wendy Williams announces her TV return amid husband's cheating scandal. Wendy Williams won't return on Monday because of her husband, or no, because of her shoulder or husband. So everything is about this husband of hers. And so, we already, I don't know if you guys don't know, there's also, like issues that were going on with the Cardi thing. And so that has kind of died down, and now it's gone back to Wendy Williams. And so, I seen even where Wendy Williams had talked about, some rapper guy, and I've listened to his music. And in terms of music, and if a person is talented, they're talented. I'm not in their lives like that. Even I'm not that happy about everything that Cardi does. Like, when I've listened to her music, she seems like she has a charismatic attitude. She's really witty. She says what's on her mind, but sometimes that gets you in trouble when you say too many things and when you're always on Instagram. And it seems a little immature when you get too, how would you say, you get too defensive at people that are not really in your lives. And a lot of times, people that are on these little, what is that, Snapchat, Instagram, FaceTime, and all these little sites, they tend to be young and they're immature and they like to see a lot of drama. But too, I kind of feel like Cardi likes the drama too. She kind of, she comes from that, you know, being that she's, she has a background from New York and the gangs and whatnot. And Wendy Williams is from New York, I believe, or she's from somewhere in the East Coast. She has the accent, and so I don't know if it's New York, Brooklyn, or Jersey, one of them. And so it seems like a lot of people that come from out of those places right there tend to be pretty high strung. Not that it is in other places that where there are people that are high strung. I know LA is kind of like the second city where there's a lot of high strungness going on, um, in terms of the people and the demeanor and whatnot. Um, it's just it's I think it's really sad. It's embarrassing. It's probably taking a toll on her health to have all of these articles and all this stuff against her husband, and it's out in the open, and for him to be so silent and not really say anything and just accept it. He's, some people say, oh, he's got all this money and all this stuff, but I don't know, I don't see anything attractive about him. He just seems sneaky looking to me. The look, he has that look. He doesn't say much. He just seems really sneaky, and it fits him. So this cheating thing and him being out in the open with it like this is wrong. And I don't care how much money the brother has. I wouldn't want to be bothered with him. I would have let this thing end a long time ago. He must be doing something to her in the bed. And I know that sounds like I'm hitting below the belt, but it must be something that's other than the money that's keeping that lady there, because I don't know. But I still wouldn't want to be with him because if he's sleeping with all these other young women, if he's got this one pregnant and all that, you don't know if he has a disease, what he's doing, if he's cheating like that. She, even the one that he got the house for and got pregnant, he might have somebody else on the side on her. And she should be ashamed of herself. Why would you want somebody's husband when you know he's cheating on somebody and everybody knows that he has a adult son, young adult son? Do you want that to happen in your life? And that's probably what's happening. He might have somebody else on her too. So he might be a pattern. Um, I'm just saying. I just think it's really embarrassing, probably at the most. And health wise for her, I think she's taking a toll. I don't think she's in denial. I think she knows what's going on. It's just hurting. It's nothing that she can say and do about it at this point. And he probably has a lot of money invested in the show and in her, and she doesn't want to lose all of that. And somebody else said, a couple of people have mentioned it just that way, like I'm saying. And I believe that's true. That's probably the other thing that for sure would keep her around. She probably feels like, once I'm done doing this show, it's over. He could do whatever the fuck he wants. I mean, I just got to get this show over with and earn my money, and then when I'm done, then we're done. That maybe that's what she's thinking. Maybe she's thinking when the show is finally over, she cancels it, or she decides to retire from doing that. It's over. It's curtains for him. And maybe she'll have some money. Maybe she has something set up. She just waiting for that ball to drop. So I don't know. I couldn't be with somebody like this. I'm just telling you. I First of all, I'm not with anyone because it's a lot of crazy people out there, and they violent, and they do all this stuff to women. But looking at this, it just I'm not too surprised because it seemed like what I'm getting at is when you give um, males this attitude that it's okay to cheat, it's okay to be like this to women, or your God's gift to women attitude, machoism, and all this stuff. They kind of take that shit to a whole nother level to where they don't even have respect anymore, not even for themselves. So that's why I'm cool with it. That's why I don't even mess around with nobody because in this day and age, life is so short, and you don't know what people got. They might have, HIV, and like we've heard, they could have some fatal disease or something like that. And when they're cheating like this, they're not going to share with you their sexual history, their health history. They're not going to share with you, oh, by the way, I have HIV, or I infected 10 women already, and you woman number 11. They're not going to share all of that. And so, their thing is just to, lay down in bed as many women as they can and move on, just like a dog rooting around, from, woman to woman, or dog to dog, female dog to female dog, and making a litter, it just doesn't make any sense. And so, I'm cool with all of that. It's not worth it. I think that marriage at this point is like a contract, and it's about what you get out of the marriage. Do you get a house? Do you get a car? Do you get, like when the person, if they leave you some money or whatever? That's what it seems like nowadays. It don't even seem like it's real anymore. It's about love like it used to be. You do get all those other amenities, of course, but the main thing is you're hoping that there's a real connection with you and that partner, that spouse, that you love one another. And a lot of these marriages don't seem genuine. And I'm not even just talking about the celebrity marriages either. I'm talking about some of the ones that aren't celebrities as well. I know this says celebrity, but there's some wives that aren't famous who got cheating husbands, just like Wendy Williams or Cardi. There's some people that you just don't see them or hear about them because they're not famous. And they put up with a lot of shit. I know some people that put up with a lot of stuff, and I'm like, better you than me, because I couldn't do it. I just don't have that kind of temperament. I really don't. I'm one of those kind of people. I just don't put up with a lot of bullshit. And so that is bullshit to me. When I see all of that, sleeping with her, and who knows, he might be sleeping with a him that looks like a her. Who knows? You don't know what these people are doing nowadays, and that's why I won't even do it because I like my life. I mean, I get disgusted by things and frustrated sometimes. Even, I feel sad about some things, but when I look at these relationships like this here, I said it could be worse. My life ain't like that, where all your embarrassing stuff is plastered all over the internet about your cheating husband. And so the thing is that I notice, like, when I go to work, and I'm gonna share with you all, people that are listening or whatever, story, about how I go to work, and I hear these women, they brag about, oh, my husband this and my husband that, and my husband this and my husband that. And a lot of these women, now I'm gonna be honest with you now. I know you're thinking I'm probably talking about just black women. No, I've noticed now There's some people I work around, a large percentage. There's a percentage of them that are Latinas. And I think in the culture, marriage is like a big deal. In most cultures where marriage is like patrial, it's a big deal. They have these huge weddings. They make a large deal out of the weddings. They have them in a Catholic church and all the stuff in the wedding and having babies and the whole nine. The family and everybody. They have these large families. But just like the Catholic Church hides stuff, the Hispanic community hides things too. They hide tragedies. Even in their relationships, they will hide the tragedy. They want to have like a relationship look like on the outside is perfect, but it really isn't. And so I'm gonna share with you some of the experiences that I've known from people that I've lived around, people that I've lived around for a decade or more. And most of them have been Mexican or they've been from, other countries. They're Latin. And so they have big families and they'll have marriages and husbands and wives, and they're really big on the husband wife thing. And so, like, when I go to work, these young girl talking about her husband, and my husband. But what I've noticed is the husbands aren't working. Isn't that something? That's kind of weird, huh? Because most time you see the Mexican men, they're cutting grass or they doing some kind of work. They ain't at home. You know, but these husbands, I guess they maybe not from the old country. A lot of them seem like they're younger and they're Mexican American. Some of them sit at home and work while the woman is out working, busting her ass. And then she at work bragging about my husband, my husband, my husband. And a lot of times I feel like that's going to be opening the door for a lot of problems because you don't know what that husband really is doing. Now, one, she told me that her and the husband are apartment managers and that there was somebody in the building gunning for her husband, like looking at her husband and trying to sleep with her husband. And the lady even exchanged phone numbers, tried to get his phone number or give her phone number to him or something. And so I guess the husband thought he was doing the right thing by giving his wife the phone number, telling her the story about how the lady in the building wanted to sleep with him and passed and slipped him a number. And so now see here's where that seems like a good thing, right? But here's where that could be a problem. That woman might be persistent. She might come at him again and he'll always say, well, I gave you the number. I told you that she was after me. It wasn't me. She came at me. The other thing is that if he really does go out and pursue somebody else, he can easily lie and get away with it now because she thinks that he's such a faithful man. So I've also seen some situations where the woman if she's working, she's cooking, she's having all these babies, but the guy, he can kind of drive and do whatever he wants. And some of those women, they don't start driving until like really late, like in their 40s. A couple of them I've seen like that where they don't even know how to drive. They just walk to the store for groceries. I've seen that. And so I think it's really where they feel like women are beneath the men. And so I've even seen where they'll talk really nasty to the women and talk to them really nasty around the kids too. And so they have abusive relationships too and cheating husbands, because like I was looking at some documentaries where it was talking about all the little brothels and the little motels and the prostitutes that they have in some of those countries. And some of those guys that you see that are, they cutting the grass or they're working hard for their little families and stuff. A lot of times, like on Western in LA, a lot of the guys that were picking up the prostitutes were Mexican men. And I'm knowing that these men aren't single. They got wives and they got kids at home. And I'm thinking, what is the wife? What is she? Does she even know that he does this? Or does she even care? Or is he just a good liar? And so I think maybe they're really good at lying or deceiving the wife and making her believe that they won't cheat because they're hard at work. Or, another thing I've noticed about that group of, I'm talking about another group because I always talk about and the African American community. I'm really full aware about the Hispanic Latin community as well because of living around and having friends and people in my family that are from there as well. Believe it or not, a lot of beer drinking. Like I mean, a lot of beer drinking, like major beer drinking. The men, I think they have alcohol problems, serious alcohol problems. I mean, drinking is an understatement. I mean, like a fish, like a whale drinking. I mean, you thinking those beer cans are for like a big party or something like that? It isn't. It's for that one man or the two men or whatever they, and it's really true. We would see like there would be a group of guys. They would hang around the corner and they would stand out there, and all they would do was drink, 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 drink. What is it? That beer? It's Modelo, Corona. All the like the Latin type beers, Budweiser. You would see a lot of that. And what they would do is put instead of them throwing the cans or the bottles away in receptacles or containers, they would just leave them in a box and leave them out on the sidewalk, or they'd leave them out on the grass, and or they put them in somebody's yard, stuff like that. And then they would stand out there, and then they would urinate all over the place, and it would smell like urine and piss and beer. It was disgusting. And so a lot of the prostitutes, like back to what I was saying, a lot of those men, when they cheat with prostitutes. That can't be healthy at all. I'm not saying that, oh, okay, it's better to cheat with women that are prostitutes. But what I'm saying is, I know this sounds really complicated. Like the celebrity women and the wives that are getting cheated on. There are regular people that are doing the same thing, and I was talking about the Latin community, how they kind of hide their shit. They kind of like make it look like they have happy marriages. They'll be having like a lot of kids, and the wife, she might really be a nice lady. She's really not sleeping around or anything like that. But that dude, he's getting around. He has not only babies with her, but he has babies across town. And so I kind of feel sorry for those women, like when they are naive and they don't know any better. And I've gotten, to talk to a few at work who they're really nice. They seem to be like nice young girls that don't know any better. I guess they haven't had enough life experiences or whatever. And what I mean is they hadn't lived long enough to actually get hurt to see you can't expect this guy. Here he is, he's going to school, getting all this college, and you are up here working this job. He gonna get far ahead of you, and he gonna dump you and leave you. Now you stuck like a duck. Obviously, I guess maybe they have those old traditional ways, but that's the reason why they hide all of their shit. Like they're like if they have like a really messed up relationship, you don't hear about that until you hear about like somebody violently shot up their family. It happens in the Latino communities too, and the Mexican communities, where the guy you hear about, he helped up his whole family. He went and killed all of the grandma, abuelita, abuelito, and niña, niño, all the kids. It's sad. It's like you don't hear you thinking, oh, they seem like they happy. They always be going to church and they be singing and they be playing their little mariachi music and they be having their little parties in the backyard and all that shit like that. And then next thing you know, you see them on the 9 o'clock news. Oh, dude, he went, he killed his grandma, his uncle, his aunts, and 9 kids. Shit like that. It's crazy. It's like, but they have problems too, and they're just good. They're just good at hiding it, better at hiding it. And but that it comes from out of nowhere though. It's scary though because you're like, man, he must have been mad as hell to kill all those people. But they go for a long time because they have a lot of kids. Their tradition says to stay together and keep your wife and keep your husband and all that, even if the relationship is shitty and the person is cheating on you and they're lying and you're fighting. And I know this one lady, she's a Mexican lady, told me, she said when she was growing up, her parents used to close the door and they would fight, literally fist fight. And then they would come out all mangled. And she said they did that for years, and then they finally divorced when all the kids grew up and moved out the house. So that's what they do, how they handle their relationship problems is to stay together until the kids get older. and, and then when they get old they separate. Some won't even separate. Some stay together, and they just don't. Like one lady I knew, she told me she knew her husband was cheating on her, and he was sleeping with prostitutes and everything. And she told me this. A Mexican lady told me this. She said, "I don't sleep with my husband no more." She straight up told me that. I'm like, why? Why? Oh, because he fucks prostitutes. I'm like, whoa. You don't want, like, why won't you divorce him? She's like, it's just we got kids. It's tradition. They were so accustomed being together that they never got a divorce, and so they don't even sleep together. It's like roommates, basically. They're like roommates, and so I couldn't live like that. And so you'd be surprised what these women and all these marriages. Sometimes they're not what you think they are. That's what my point is in all of this. And even the celebrity people, a lot of people know it's a lot of scandal in those marriages. But what about the people who aren't famous? So I just kind of gave you a little tidbit of what I have learned. You know, I've I've seen a lot of craziness, and I've talked about stuff that happens in African American families. Some of the stuff that happens, sometimes you can see it on the news. But what about other cultures? White people too. I see crazy stuff with them, the cheating and everything, and then you looking, and you're like, what the hell? How do you go from this person to go to that person and then turn around and go back to that person? You know, I've seen some crazy stuff in their relationships too, and I'm like, is it really worth all of that? But I think the reason why some of these people will put up with a lot of that stuff is because I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if you've seen this show on Netflix, and I kid you not, it scared the shit out of you too. It's called Murderous Affairs, and I say 90 to 95% of those relationships, their marriages, where the person they get married for, and they when the marriage goes sour, or they marry you for convenience. They take out an insurance policy on their husband or their wife. They try to figure out how to kill you so they can get the insurance money. So I don't think a lot of people realize that some of these marriages are dangerous. They're not what you think they are. And that little saying, when you go to the altar and they say for better or for worse, till death do us part, you better take that shit serious, because there's some people that really do want you dead. They marry you so that they can kill you and get a hefty insurance policy for you, because you're more worth more dead than alive. So they stay married to you for a while, so it seems believable that there was some kind of love interest or whatever. And then as soon as they meet their hubby on the side, they all plotting how to bump you off, how to get you killed. And so you got to watch who you with nowadays. I'm telling you, it's not just about just the domestic violence. Some of these people will get married to you so they can kill you. And if you're worth a lot of money, they can get a big insurance payout. And they have so many stories and so much stuff going on nowadays. It'll scare your pants on. Put it that way. It'll scare your skirt down. I'm just telling you the truth, what's real. And I don't think a lot of people understand the seriousness of this. That some people are like that. They were plotting before they were with you and when you are dead. And so with that being said, this thing with Wendy Williams, I think it's sad. I think it's more embarrassing than anything. And I think it might be taking a toll on her health because they mentioned something about she had a thyroid problem, some other ill a list of ill problems or whatever, and that she was taking pills and all this shit like that. But I think that marriage is weighing on her. All this stuff in the paper. Can you imagine? You just put yourself in her shoes, and you turn on the internet, and all the shit is on the internet about your cheating husband. How that makes you feel, you know? And I'm sure Cardi is getting has dealt with that as well. She always, from what I heard, she always on the internet herself looking at stuff. You know, she got a lot of enemies, I believe. I believe that's what her thing is. She's got enemies from back in the days when she was running the streets and everybody knowed her in the hood. And so it ain't too many people, you know, they just focusing on her fans, but she got some enemies. And I don't think it's just that Star Girl either. I think she got a lot of enemies. And from what I'm hearing about this Wendy Williams thing, you know, I don't think it's gonna get any better. You know what's scary about all of this? You know, when Wendy Williams passed out, I think all of that stuff is not just her thyroid. I think it might be part of it. They're gonna say what they want to say to the you know, the fans and to the people because she's popular, and they don't want to make her look bad. But I think all the stuff with this Kevin Hunter guy and all this scandal and all these articles and all these videos about her and her husband getting another woman pregnant and all that stuff, that does something to you emotionally. I know it's hurting her on the inside, it's tearing her up. And her son, he must be like, damn, you know, every time you turn on the internet, it's always about mom and dad. You know, how fucked up their marriage is, you know. I mean, what do kids got? You know, how do you think that makes the kids feel? It's like you don't even want to tell anybody you related to them. I would bet. But anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna let this go. But man, there's so much going on in this world. It's just really sad. You just almost don't know who to trust no more. It's like you gotta really, really read people. Because if you make one mistake in the character of individuals, it could cost you your life or your health and your sanity. With that being said, I'm gonna let this go. Hopefully, you know, Wendy Williams will figure out a way to resolve her issues because it's definitely taking a toll on her health. And you can see it all the time. Every time she gets on the show, it just looks like she's not really all there. Thanks for listening.